I'm so scared. Not so much because of an evil, deadly witch. It's because of what I'm about to tell you. Okay. So man goes into a talent agent's office and says, I've got this great act. It's a family act. You gotta let me tell you about it. So the agent says, all right. Just give me your best shot. And so, so the guy says, well, we've only done this act 5 times. 5 times, and we can only do it 1 more time. That's it. So we can only accept the highest billing. So the agent says, oh, all right, well, you got my interest. Let me let me hear it. So all right. So the guy says, well, my wife and I and our 2 7-year-old twin daughters, we come on stage and first thing is we hand out to each and every member of the audience these opera glasses, little binoculars. You know, what was that? What the hell was that? Oh, Jesus Christ! All right, so then my wife and I push our 2 twin daughters in their little pink skirts off to one side because we'd rather they not get involved in this, if at all possible. So they stand off to one side, and my wife and I, we take our clothes off, and so we get down, we get ready to fuck, see, and but right away I know it's not working because I haven't been able to get it up since well, there've been some deaths in the family recently, and frankly, my wife hasn't had much interest in sex since she gave birth to the septuplets. Since the Zoloft, my wife's snatch has been so dry that last time I went down on her, I had to go on intravenous fluids afterward. So we got nothing. The audience is getting restless, you know. So when we bring our little precious little 7-year-old daughters, Audrey and Vanessa, out on center stage, and we tell them they have to reach under each other's skirts, and they have to rub each other, down there. And what? Did you hear that? What the fuck was that? Jesus Christ! I'm never gonna live through this. I better talk quickly. So they begin rubbing each other, and we announce to the audience, and we remind our daughters that, as in past performances. Oh, I can't believe I'm going to say this. As in past performances, the one who comes first is going to be beheaded. And my wife is sobbing. She can't do what has to be done. So I go off stage and I bring the 5 severed heads of their sisters, each in various stages of maturity and decay. I array them in front of the stage. At this point, I instruct the audience to pick up their opera glasses and focus in on the faces of my daughters. It is a hideous turn of events, but it's the act that we've contracted for. So the boom microphone is lowered over my precious daughters' heads, and as they're being frigged by each her sister, we can hear them mumbling little things to try to stave off the orgasmic process. Audrey says, I remember the time the butterfly landed on my finger, and he looked at me and I looked at him, and it was so magical. It was such a sweet moment. The other one, Vanessa, is she's saying, I can't forget when I took those horseback riding lessons and I learned to canter, and I was no, not that. Now at this point the audience is focusing in on Vanessa's face, closer and closer, which is a fascinating spectacle. It's kind of like watching fire as each of the 55 individual facial muscles receives a charge from her miniature inexperienced clit. So Vanessa's trying to think what else, and her mother calls out to her, Vanessa, yeah, you remember when we went to the state fair and there were all those rides, and you and I, we rode in those spinning teacups, the tilt-a-whirl. Remember what fun we had? I want to put her out of her misery, help her through, and end it as quickly as possible. So I say to her, I say, Vanessa, darling, honey, it feels like an ache. It feels like a tickle, kind of like a tickly ache. It feels real good. Let it come, Vanessa. And she's like, Daddy, what does it feel like? What's it feel like? I say, well, it's kind of like, it sort of feels like a sneeze. And so then my wife pipes up, no, it doesn't feel anything like a sneeze. That's ridiculous. And she comes back in with, Vanessa, remember the tilt-a-whirl, the teacups, Vanessa's face dissolves into a frenzy, and that's it. And so, of course, I have to do the honors. I go up and I take the machete and I chop her head off. Then all the opera glasses in the audience turn in unison to the left, because the head is rolling across the stage. It winds up at the knees of my wife, whose hair is turned snow white. Of course, she starts going to town with it. Remember, she hasn't come in over 7 years. But she's using the nose, she's using the chin. She even goes for the braid. It's like a ponytail dildo. Luckily, she had tied it real tight this morning before school. So now our remaining daughter crawls across the stage, curious about what her mother is doing, and she's watching to see how it's done. My wife is naturally concerned that Audrey will never be able to achieve orgasm, scarred by the experience tonight. So she's teaching her. This is the educational portion of our program. The kids in the audience are leaning forward now and paying close attention with their opera glasses, focusing and refocusing in. After watching her mother for a while, Audrey crawls back across the stage and reaches and takes the head of her sister Martha. Now, Martha came and went at our Jacksonville performance 2 years earlier. So there's not much to work with there, but she uses the nose bone, she uses the chin bone. Martha and Audrey used to be real close, and it's so good to see them playing together again. Meanwhile, of course, Vanessa's body, remember Vanessa? Well, it's flopping backstage right, and I go over to try to comfort it. It seems to be still in the throes of its first ever orgasm, and it can't get past. Because I think I lopped off her head a bit prematurely. Her central nervous system is still experiencing the explosion of the orgasm, and it can't get over it, can't get through it. So I need to help her through. I need to help her over. So luckily, my old John Thomas swings into action. Out of love, I mount my headless, vibrating, darling child, and I'm pumping her until finally, she comes, and the small bubbles of blood percolate up. Those bubbles out the top of her neck are frothy. They're frothy. No, I don't come myself. This is my daughter we're talking about. Now I pull out and I jerk off and I come onto the lenses of several of the opera glasses in the front row. So now Vanessa's body is resting in peace, and Audrey and my wife are embracing in the solidarity that comes of both being women. They're women, damn it, and this family's gonna be okay. So the agent says, well, that's quite something. He says, what's your act called? And and he says, the Aristocrats.